can health issues, can a disease end a marriage, or should it end a marriage? And I'm pretty sure your answer will depend on your understanding of what marriage is. All right, so I'll give it back to you. What do you think about that?
Can health issues
Mhm.
or health problems end a marriage? Um, I think so. It's possible. The way that you go about handling that issue. I can say the health issue is one of the problems that can happen in a marriage. The way you go around it or about it will determine whether it's going to end your marriage or it's going to make your marriage even stronger. So I can say that it can, but should you let it be? Like, should you let it end your marriage? So you can think of why you got into marriage in the first place, right? Why did you get together? You got together because you loved each other. You want to, I think we talked about the importance of marriage 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. There are so many benefits for being in a marriage relationship. You have each other. It serves as companionship, friendship, and we know how stressful life can be. You have each other to lean on each other, right? So, if as Christians, if we think of what the Bible says, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 30, Deuteronomy 32, verse 30, if you can open that for me.
All right, you're gonna keep talking while I
Okay,
find that.
so I have it written down here. One shall chase 1,000, two shall put down 10,000 to flight. Two shall put 10,000 to flight. It means that if you are a single person, you can bring down only 1,000, right? But if you join force, you can bring down 10,000. It means that you can face your challenges and problems out there better than if you are single, right? So coming together is just to have each other, the companionship, the friendship to face life together. So if that's the main reason why you are married, how come that when something you encounter a problem, why don't you join force and deal with the problem? So if you know that you are in together, if something happened to one person, you just join force and fight it and stay together as couples. It shouldn't break you up. So the way that you handle it can break or make a marriage. That's how I would take it.
All right, so basically, it can, but it depends on the parties involved. That's your answer, right?
Right.
All right. All right. So then, what are some of the health issues that can lead to a marriage breakdown?
That was my take. I've not heard your take yet.
Oh, my take.
Yes.
I wanted to reserve mine for the end. I wanted to reserve mine for the end, but I guess you caught me off guard. Yeah. So my take is,
Mm-hmm.
I I think I agree with you somewhat, um, but I also believe. Let's switch this back. I also believe that for a marriage, if it's between believers, if the people are religious, spiritual folks, then obviously my answer would be no. You know, health issues or sickness should not break a marriage. But if you are somebody who believes in God, then of course the people do it all the time. So we're gonna take it from both ways, like you said, and see where we land. But I, in a nutshell, think it shouldn't happen. Now, because it's a live show, we want you to comment if you think differently and you want to share with us. Just hit the comment button and tell us your mind. Because, as I said, we are no experts. We are conversational people. We are just talking and giving the platform for people to share ideas. So, if you think differently, if you are so, you have an opinion on this question, please share with us, and hopefully we will see your comment wherever you are watching from, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. Let us know what you think. Um, we have shared our piece. I'm not done. Maybe before we end, I'll bring more
So you're
reasons why.
saying that if you are believers,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter how you handle it. Because you are believers, it's no, definite no, right?
That is where I'm going at, but with a caveat, which I will go into in more detail. So stay tuned. I don't want you to leave yet. All right. So then let's go on to what are some of the potential health challenges that a couple can face, or that can basically put a marriage into a serious problem. What are some of the health issues? Do you want to start?
I can start by saying infertility can be
Okay,
one
that's
of the
one.
problems, and impotence.
Oh,
Impotence.
those are really big ones. All right. Those are huge. Why you start with those?
Yeah, two big
Okay.
ones that can be a problem
Mhm.
in a marriage. And we can think of cardiovascular diseases that can lead to stroke, and maybe one party may be paralyzed, and
Mm.
they need extra time. Yeah, you have to spend more time in taking care of them. That can be a huge health problem in marriage. Psychiatric issues,
Okay.
psych issues.
Psych
So,
issues, mental
like
health, right?
mental health. Yeah. So, if one party is not psychologically sound, if I can put it that way, how do you deal with it as marriage couples? Is it going to break up the marriage, or is it going to make you even stronger? You are going to stay in it and fight it together. And can be like cancer, which is very scary to think of, that one party has come up with that disease. That can be a huge problem in marriage. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and all the others. If you want to type in, yeah, or if you know any other you want to add on.
Yeah. So I agree with those you have brought up so far, but in particular with impotence, that is a huge one, right? Because we believe, we all know, we are adults, and we know that every marriage is consummated by sex, right? With the people having sex. So it revolves around everything, companionship and everything. But that is the seal of the marriage. In my opinion, the consummation of a marriage is when the couples are into each other in bed. So if the one party cannot, in this case, you mentioned impotence, which is the man, but it can also happen with the women. I've heard stories about women who, for lack of a better word, have no access where penetration can happen.
Oh,
Biologically, it's not possible, but obviously nobody knew until they got married. So it could go both ways, or it could be even a person who not necessarily sick, but biologically they don't feel like doing it, and it can present as a health challenge. If the woman is not available to have sex, and then the man also wants to, but there's no way they can do it. That to me is one of the most serious challenges for the progression of a marriage. So that is a big health challenge. I think we should give that another. I think that is, in my opinion, that forms the foundation of a marriage. I'm not
mm,
foundation. Foundation is love, right?
right.
But in physical terms, that is where consummation, sexual act becomes the first thing that the body uses, to have each other. So if that particular act is not viable, if there's no way, then it is obviously a big health challenge. It's a huge challenge, right? And we may not have heard. I've heard stories about um, something happening, and the couples finding out on the night of their marriage that nothing could happen, and it came up with huge, huge issues, either for the people who blessed the marriage, or for the family who put the couples together, and the couple themselves dealing with that issue, whether or not to go forward in the marriage. And again, we are no pastors. We don't know much. So if you are watching, you have experience, you have encountered any counseling issues like that, you can bring it up, and we see that. Yeah, we see another like, another thumbs up there. Yes, please click, click. I think you like that. Yes, share, stream, and continue to like it so that we have fun together. Because this is a serious subject, you know. So I think that is the first and basically the most important health issue that we can talk about. That is, you know, the inability to have sex or the impotence. And again, not just on the man's part, on the woman's part too, it can happen. I don't know what they call it scientifically, but yeah. So I think, yeah. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so you are saying that you keep mentioning that that's very important. That's very important. So you're saying that that can really break up a marriage?
Ah, that's a big question. That's a big, big
Yeah.
question. Um, I don't know if I should say that can break a marriage, but I think it can. I think it can. I think it can.
But you mentioned being a Christian is definitely no. So you are kind of contradicting yourself now.
Honey, you're putting me on the spot now.
So
Wow.
so you keep saying it's very important. And you mentioned one thing. You said that that is the one that made the marriage.
Mhm.
So like if at your wedding night you get in and you realize that the man cannot perform, it means that the marriage has not solidified yet
It hasn't been
for
consummated,
oh
right?
consummated, okay, for you to even call it a marriage. So if you quit at that point, then you have not breaking your vows as a believer, right? Can we
Man,
think of it that way?
I don't know. I don't know. Any pastors out there, please type your comments in there. This is deep. Any married counselors. So, according to Gift, since you haven't had that intimacy, you haven't really consummated the marriage and the marriage hasn't started. So, you could basically call it quits. That is what she is thinking. But I also think that if you have said a vow, when you said a vow there, a vow didn't say that until we see that we can, you know, we can have sex. If you said the vow, you say, I do, in sickness and in health. If you said it and you meant it, then whatever comes after should be something you are willing to take up. But then again, like I'm saying, I'm no expert. You know, I wish I had all the answers, but I know there are some smart people out there. Please, if you are watching, type in your comments and we'll eventually see them. All right. So, um, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't want to make up any stories. To me, from what I understand, I would agree with you that
Mhm.
if it is not consummated, you can really not call it marriage. But then what if somebody says, but they said the vows? I
Mhm.
mean, but they did all the customary marriage things.
Mhm.
The legal documents are signed. So
Mhm.
what do you mean it is not marriage? You know, somebody can say that. And if that person says that they are not wrong, they're equally right because that's marriage. Nobody knows what goes on in the bedroom, and if something is not happening, it's not happening. It's not like it's their fault, you know. So um, it could go both ways,
Mhm.
unless there is something in the marriage clause or something in the you know marriage counseling that says to the couple that unless that thing happens, your marriage has not been consummated and it's not marriage. Then I think that either one could be right. That is what I think. But again, if you are watching and you have a different answer, you can put it in the comments, and we will surely see that. All right.
And I don't know. So impotence can happen at any stage. It's not
Good.
just at the
In the beginning.
beginning of the marriage. So maybe let's think of it this way, that you have been in the marriage for so long, then all of a sudden something happened to to the guy, right? We are talking about impotence. So what do you do? You know, do you, but this time it has been consummated
Consummated, yes.
consummated already, and you are married,
And then
and
something happens,
along the way, health wise something happened,
which happens all the
which
time.
happens all the
Yeah, so
time.
that is a very good differentiation. So in that case too, um, what do you do?
How,
Like you
yes,
say,
what do you
how
do?
you
How
gonna
do you
deal with it?
handle it?
How do you handle
Yes.
a health challenge that comes along the marriage after consummation, um, impotence in particular? And by the way, we have a lot of videos about impotence on our channel, Dayspring Life and Health. So if you haven't seen it, go after you finish, go to Dayspring Life and Health channel on YouTube and watch the videos about impotence, how to overcome it if you're a man and things are not heading the right way. There are pieces of advice that will help you to bring your manhood back up. So that's just information out there. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and then follow through the health videos that are there. Yeah, so you're right. That can happen. So we can move on.
Hmm.
That is one. So impotence happens along the marriage, maybe with age, maybe with another disease, associated with diabetes
Yes.
that is not treated
High blood
well.
pressure.
High blood pressure can lead to impotence in the future, and all other things. Cardiovascular diseases basically are showing up as impotence for the most part. So all those things can happen as the marriage goes on. But the question that we have for you is: can that health issue end that marriage? Should you leave your husband
Mm.
because when you started it was all right, but now it's not all right? But are you permitted to leave? Is it okay if you leave? Is it okay? And what do you think about it?
Are we talking about solution or we're still talking
That
about?
let's keep talking about the problem. So that is one: impotence and infertility. You also mentioned infertility. To me, I don't think infertility is a disease, but you disagree. It's not a health challenge because there's no guarantee that everybody should have a baby, everybody should have children, or have a children now. Because most people will have children, but later on in their lives, people have struggled to have children in the earlier part of their marriages, but eventually they have children, right?
Yes.
But if it doesn't happen for you at that time, do you leave your husband or your wife because of that? That is another health challenge that you can meet as a couple or in marriage. So that's another question that uh, has to be answered because it happens all the time.
So with the infertility, you were saying you don't think it's a health issue. It can be if you think of the type of infertility, because there's some infertility is just that because there is a cyst somewhere in the uterus or in the
It's by the
womb.
cause.
Yeah. So if that is a problem, it's a problem. It's like it's making you infertile. It's not that you can produce just because of a problem, health issue
Mhm.
that is there. So as a couple, what do? You go and try and find solution or you end marriage. So like I said, the way that you handle the problem, will make or break your marriage.
All right. So my issue about not calling it a health challenge is that not everybody um, is made to have children. In fact, I know some couples who agreed right from the onset that they're not going to have children. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people like that. It's just that most of the people who align with our culture most associate marriage with having children. So if you don't have children, it means that your marriage is not working. But there are people who marry and they commit to each other that they won't have children. And there are people who don't even marry at all. So the fact that you're not having a child doesn't make you sick.
Mm.
That is what I'm trying to say. That's why I'm saying it's not a health challenge.
Yeah.
But if the couple have agreed to have a child and it's not coming, then it becomes a problem
Right.
because it is not happening. All right. That is where I'm standing on
Yeah.
that particular.
And with our culture, like you mentioned, the reason why some people even have children in the first place is just to secure their future, right? Because they feel like when they are old, they need people to take care
Care of
of
them.
them. That's the reason why they have children. But if that's not what you are desiring of, maybe you've secured your future in such a way that you are going to be okay financially, then you won't call it a problem because you have set up way to be okay when you get older. So some people have that idea and that should be okay too.
And that should be okay too. All right. Except if you're not lucky and you have a mother-in-law or father-in-law, mothers and fathers-in-laws who pester you, and what you and your husband have agreed on becomes like their problem. They cannot understand why you guys are not having babies because they want to hold their grandchildren. I don't know why my having children has got to do with your joy. It has got to do with my choice, But again, it's cultural. It's a cultural practice from culture to culture. Some cultures they don't have a problem. In fact, they will just go. And in fact, I know somebody who hasn't married and who is not seeking to marry, and they are fine with their lives. So if they haven't married, they don't want to have children. So and they're fine. So it's the issue is you and your husband or you and your wife. What you have agreed on, what you think is best for you, not what other people want you to do.
For you.
And if the couple can understand each other, going through treatment, you've done whatever you're doing, and it's not happened yet, you don't give up and you don't become frustrated in life and think that you are a failure. No, that's not all what life is about. And like I'm saying, if your security, like you said, if your retirement is not tied to children, that is basically nothing because children even people who have children, they go to college and some of them don't even come home anymore. They are living their life. So you think about how you yourself will benefit first. Then you think about what other people think. So what other health issue can we?
We can talk about the psychiatric issues.
A psych issue is also a big deal. That's also a big deal, especially if you are in a place where mental health care is not readily available. You know, it could be a challenge. Those people who are in places where if your husband or wife is schizophrenic, I mean, there's no treatment, or I shouldn't say there's no treatment, there's not enough care for them to be out of their problem. And you can see the society look at you with a different mindset, with a different, different sight, and some people are forced to divorce because they don't see why they should be married to somebody who is mentally challenged and who hasn't, who don't have the care. In this place in the US, the mental health care is so great that unless you don't want to be treated, if you want to be treated, you basically will live your life and nobody will even know that you had any issues. But in other developing countries, in places where care, psychiatric care is really rare to come by, where we have we call people mad people going on the street and stuff. If you are married to somebody like that, would you divorce them because of their mental health care? That is a very big question there too. So those are some of the problems.
And with that psychiatric problem, think of somebody who is so fearful. Your partner is so fearful or very anxious or have this
Anxiety.
problem of anxiety. Everything makes them so nervous and fearful. Some people have this phobia that they can't go to certain places. They have this psych problem. So if you find out that your partner has that problem, is there going to be a problem in your marriage?
So that's another one. That's not even that bad,
It's not that
If
bad.
you are just afraid, I'll take it like that. if
It's
all
not
you
that bad.
if all you got is just a phobia, you're afraid of spiders and spirit of height, you're afraid you can stay in your room by
But if
yourself.
you can't leave
Ah,
your wife alone in the house, or maybe your wife cannot perform certain things because of this
because of
problem,
this.
it
I
can
mean,
be an
it's
issue.
an issue, but my
It's not a
point
big
is,
one.
it's not too big. It's not too big. It's not like once that you really have to leave them. So, but I hear what you're saying. What other problem?
Cancer.
Diabetes and cancers. I think that for cancers, it's another easy one because you will have compassion for them. So most people will stay with couples who have a disease like that. It's one the diseases that are not very dangerous and yet very you know
Manageable.
manageable, and people don't manage it properly. That is the ones that chronic ailments like diabetes, for instance. Because if you don't manage diabetes well, now there we go. Your erectile dysfunction can come.
Okay.
You can get a stroke, right? You
You
can
can be
get a you can
paralyzed.
get a heart attack. You can get ulcers. I mean, so many things. Your blood pressure will be
Can
elevated.
affect your
Your
eyesight.
cholesterol, your eyesight. You could even become blind.
Blind.
So those things that for a long period can lead to some detrimental effects. that is when people struggle to keep on living with a person like that. And those for me are the ones that really beg this question: should you continue to stay with this person? Should you continue to stay with this person? Any others? In the interest of time, we know there are several diseases that we cannot mention right now. Heart attack, paralysis. Sometimes they may not even be sick, but they be involved in an accident and they lose the ability to move or to ambulate. Now you have to take them to the bathroom. Basically you become a caregiver. You stay home and you take care. There was a couple that we remember not mentioned that the husband had paralyzed and the wife had to take care of the husband all the time, work to make sure they have money and make sure they provide. I mean, she provided comfort for the husband, for all the years that husband was alive. This wife had to do that. Now, if you don't have somebody who is willing to put up with that, that's the question that comes in. Can that particular ailment end the marriage? And it does end marriages for several people. Yeah. All right. So, what is our next question here? So we did. What are some of the things, right? Now, how do we prevent some of these things? How do we prevent the sickness in marriage? How do we prevent some of the sicknesses that come in marriage? We're going to speed through this because I think we have touched on some of them. All right, so let's go through our list that you made.
You just have to seek help.
Seek
That would
help.
be the first thing you have to do. And you have to tackle it as a team. So you don't let the other partner feels like it's their fault. That's why you are suffering or something like that. You take it like we are in this together and we are going to find solution. Wherever the solution is, we are going to look for it and we are going to find an answer to the problem. So in health sector, we have advanced medicine. We have things out there you don't know. You do your research and you try and find solution to any form of the problem that we mentioned. Just try and find solution.
All right. So I think we are also talking about the prevention first. Then after that, we'll deal with the problem head on. So you talked about solution, being together. Now let me go back to number three. How do you prevent, based on the first answer you gave concerning um, impotence, right? So how do you prevent it from happening? You found out just on the marriage bed the first time that that man was not a man, or he was a man in the face, but you got me, guys. He was a man. He was a man, all right, but not a man. You get what I mean. And how do you prevent that from happening? Do you um, tell each other during courtship? How do you go about it? Most people are not comfortable sharing some stuff like that.
Yeah, so as Christians, you cannot have sex before marriage,
Mhm.
right? So you wouldn't know before that night. And I know there is a way for a guy to determine whether they have the ability.
No, the guys know. As
They
for
know.
the guys, they know. I'm telling you, the guys will know.
So if they know and they know that sex is very important in marriage, if they are going to get into marriage, they have to bring it up to the woman. If the woman during courtship, like you said, is okay with it, and you can together maybe find solution, you don't have to hide that. You don't have to deceive the woman in thinking that you are all that. Then the night she realized that you are not all that. So I think you have to bring it up during courtship.
Yeah.
That's a way of preventing that from happening.
And in that case, I'm pretty sure most marriage counselors would also ask that question. If you had counseling before marriage, I'm pretty sure the pastor or the marriage counselor would definitely ask, "Are you able to do this?" And if you're honest with yourself, then you would say yes or no. And if no, lady will have the chance to respond as to whether the relationship should go on or not. So that is the prevention for that. What about when you were potent, you were able to do everything. But then along the marriage, as time progressed, maybe because of long-standing hypertension or long-term, chronic untreated diabetes, you had this issue come up. What do you do in that respect? How do you prevent it? So we do the prevention, then we do
How do you prevent it?
that from happening.
So from happening. So you as a couple, I think you have to do certain things in your life. Your lifestyle should be such that you won't get to that point, right? So like your diet, as you are young, you are strong, you are healthy. How kinds of foods are we eating? Is the women feeding their husbands, or the husband feeding the woman? Is it something that you talk about? Is it all solely carbohydrates?
Hmm.
Are we doing balanced diets at home?
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing the healthy choices when we go grocery? Or we just go and pick the cheapest, the fats and the salts and all the sugars out there?
Hmm.
Or we go to a whole food and try to find the best to feed ourselves. So it's something that we can do to prevent, getting to a point that we are diabetics and our blood pressure is out of control,
Mm-hmm.
and that will lead to impotence in the future. So we have to watch our diet. That's one huge one. And I think the women can take a big role in this, that we have to be very conscious of the choices that we make
Mm.
when we go out there. It's not because it's on sale, it's expiring in 5 days. So you just go and grab a whole lot, and feed your family with it. The outcome is not that good. So we have to be conscious about the food types we bring home. Is it high sugar content?
Mm.
Is it high salt? Are we trying to stay on the healthy type of foods, or we are buying the preservatives and the cans, and all that? We have to like try and go to maybe farm, to some, when it's seasonal, we have to go to some places to get the best of the best to feed our family. So if we do that, our chance of falling into this problem is very low. The choice of
Great.
food.
Yeah. And I would also ask exercise, the men exercise. Again, if you watch our channel, if you go to Dayspring Life and Health channel on YouTube and you look for our videos, we talk about exercise. Exercise, apart from the diet, you got to exercise, man. Women too, but exercise is one that helps a lot. So prevention is better than cure. It's better to prevent the thing from happening than to wait for it to happen and then seek, seek help. So that is what I'll add. Prevention is better. So let's try and keep in shape. Do a regular exercise, 30 to 45 minutes a day, or even 3 times a week, depending on how busy we are. We can work it in and then ensure that we are making sure that we are taking good care of ourselves. And like Gifty said, you also have to eat right. All the fatty meals have to decrease a little bit. I know that on the channel, if you watch the video, one of the videos is that eat a fatty meal, because fats are used to make your hormones and stuff, but it shouldn't be excessive, and definitely exercise. So what other thing that we can talk about there? We can talk about what? Diabetes, same idea. Um, some of us don't even take care of ourselves. We don't see any doctor for a whole year because you don't feel sick. The only time you get to the doctors is when you get some kind of an infection and you want quick treatment. But when you are not sick, you don't go. But you got to have a commitment to your own body by seeing a doctor at least once a year for a physical. Let them check up your cholesterol levels. Let them check about you
The
know
sugar.
your blood sugar levels. Let them check your blood pressure. These three things you should be on your fingertips. You know your cholesterol, you know your blood pressure, and you know your blood sugar. If those things are good, chances are that impotence is going to be far away from you. But if one of those is not good, then eventually you may end up with a problem. So those are some of the things that we need to take care of. All right, man out there. That's a clap for you. Because we
And
believe you're going to do it. Yes, go ahead.
another one is managing stress. Is
Big one.
very
Big one.
important. How we are able to cope,
That needs a
yeah,
lot too.
is very
Stress
important. So
management.
if you are not able to manage your stress, the anxiety, side problems, things, something will trigger something. So as a family, how can we manage our stresses? The things that stresses us up. How do we go around? How are we able to handle it? Do we cut certain things off? Do we have to take a vacation, take a break from all that is happening? You don't want to go to a point that you are so stretched to the point that you break. We don't want to break. As we are growing old together, we have to do certain things that will prevent huge problems in the future. So, how we can manage our stress is very important.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Now on that same line, um, you know, some young couples, when people are marrying, um, except if you get some financial advice, but most people will live extravagantly because they want to show the world that marriage, they did it, and they end up in dire financial straits. And because of that, the stress begins
From the
right from
start.
the start, and that is a recipe for disaster. You may not last long, man. Trust me, stress can kill. And apart from the impotence and all blood pressure going up, you could drop dead as with a heart attack because of unmanaged stress. So again, we also had a video on a channel about stress that was actually just put up this last week. So uh, go on the Spring Life and Health channel and watch the video about stress and what stress can do to you. Very bad stuff. All right. Anything else we can talk about? Um, so I think that we also said um, how to deal with them, how to deal with the issues if the problem is currently there. Now we're talking about how to prevent, but what if the problem is there? In the interest of time, we just use those two examples. But apart from apart from that, what if the problem is already there? Do you leave your husband or do you leave your wife because they are diabetic, because they are impotent, or because they can't have a child, or because something else is going on? How do you deal with the problems, deal with the health problems that already exist? Do you have any idea you want to start off with? Or
I think I started by saying we should seek for help.
seek for help? Yes,
Yes.
you're right. So seek for help is the first one, right? Seek for help. Seek seek for help. And if you remember our last video, we said you have to know that there's a problem. Seek for help. Now, if you don't know it's a problem, then of course you will not even seek for help. So you got to seek for help. Don't boil down in anger or in stress, because you think that this thing is happening onto you. The interesting thing that I've learned about life as I got younger, is that there's no problem that is coming to you the first time. Anything you face, somebody has faced it before. As a matter of fact, it's in scriptures too. You are not the first to face any issue. So if you are facing something, don't cry like life is over. As for this thing that is happening to me, I'm the only one, and I'm gonna die with this issue. People just say certain things, and you wanna just tap them and say, "Don't say that." You are not the first. It's been happening in life all those ages. People have faced it, but those who succeeded, they sought for help. They did not just keep it to themselves and thought that, what if I tell somebody and somebody else tells somebody and the other person tells somebody, and when I'm walking around, everybody will know that I have this problem. Yeah, let them know. If at the end you get your solution,
Solution.
you got over it. Your problem went away because you shared it. That being said, you seek help from the right sources, right?
So it can be in the health sector.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have the best doctors out there. You know, you have advanced medicine, new ones are coming every day. You just have to do your research and try and find solution. So there are lots of help out there. You just have to seek for the help and find resolution for your problem so that you don't have to leave your marriage because you're encountering a problem.
Definitely, definitely. And somebody may say, "Well, I sought for help and it's still not changing." Kind of like the stuff that came up in church today. What if you do it, and still nothing is happening, right? You still continue to do it and hope that one day it will change. You know, because all you got is to get that help come through, is to get that solution come through. So if you give up on the way because you tried one or two times, then obviously you are giving up too early because you haven't gotten the solution yet. you know so solutions don't come to quitters. It doesn't come to people who just do one or two times and give up. People who always succeed, people who don't take failure for an answer, they will continue to persist. As long as they live, they will continue. When people say, "Oh, you are too old," no, they will continue, because it took Sarah 99 years or 90 years to have a child. I don't remember the exact number, but whatever it, you continue to seek the help. If this doctor's work didn't work out, you go to a different doctor. Sometimes you give yourself a break for a little bit, and then you see what God will do. But you never give up and say that, "No, that's over. This impotence, I've done all that I can. It's not going away." Seek for help. There's medications there that can treat diseases. You know, there's potent drugs that can make you potent, right? But if you don't seek the help, you will just keep it to yourself, and your woman will continue to suffer, and you will suffer, and your whole confidence, your self confidence will drop, because you know that your woman doesn't respect you or understand you anymore, because you can't do it anymore. So seek for help. That's a very important thing, because some of the solutions never come from ourselves. There are certain things you just talk it over with your wife, which is very good, but there are certain things you need help. You need help. Seek expert help.
Yes.
You know,
And the seeking of help shouldn't be one person. I think I mentioned it. It should be the two of you fighting to find
to find
solution.
solution.
So the other partner shouldn't blame the other person that is your fault. It's because of you that I'm suffering. You are bedridden now. I have to give you care, stuff like that. You feel like we are all in this together. Then you try to find solution to the problem. So the seeking of help is not one person's business. It's the two of you. Like I said, that one person will bring down 1,000, but two people will bring down 10,000. So like, if you're married, I think they have a term powerhouse, right? As couple, you are powerhouse. If you join force together and just try and seek for help, you will definitely find solution.
Definitely. That's a very good one. That's a really good one. Seek help. Seek help. Don't be
And
shy.
yeah, and with that's the health sector, but we can also think of it in prayer as Christians, right? You have to bring it to the Almighty God. Bring your problem. The Bible says that we should bring what we shouldn't worry, we shouldn't stress, we shouldn't be anxious about anything. All things in all situation with prayer and supplication, we should let our requests be known to God. So we come together as two, as one, and we present our worries, our problems to God, and the solution can also come through God, or God will open the door and avenue for us to find help. So prayer also helps.
Prayer. Definitely. Definitely prayer. I will say that cast your burdens onto Him, right? And everything, all your ways, acknowledge Him. Even the steps you are taking to get a solution, you commit to Him. The other thing is that you got to be realistic. There's not always going to be answers to every issue. If your husband or wife had diabetes, they did not take their care very well, and it's reached a point where their sight is dim. Right now, they can barely see. Because we had a doctor, Dr. Nate Rekwan, who came on our channel to talk about how some people's eyes have really, really gone bad because of prolonged, uncontrolled blood sugar. I mean, that cannot be reversed. If that is the situation and it cannot be reversed, you got to admit that as for this sin, it's not going anywhere. But regardless whether it goes anywhere or not, we are in this together, like you said. And as long as you guys understand each other, you can continue with your relationship. and you will have to leave the other person because something like that happened, right? So make sure that you don't make solution to the problem a reason for your relationship to be there. So I'm going to go to this doctor, I'm going to go to that doctor. After three doctors, if it doesn't work out, I'm out. This mental health thing, I can't take it anymore. Every day you are abusing me for, because you are schizophrenic. Unless your abuse is beating.
You remove your.
If the abuse is beating, then hey, remove yourself. Like we said, that one, that one, nobody wants anybody to take beating for any reason whatsoever. So remember that not all problems will have solutions now. Some of them will delay, the solutions will come. Some will never see the solutions. But if you agree together as a team, remember your vows for better, for worse, then you don't let things, you find pleasure in the other things that are working out for you. If this way is not working, maybe this other way works, and I think that helps a lot. I know it doesn't work for every problem, obviously. If your man is impotent and nothing can make it work, I don't know how it can work. You got to talk with your wife and see how else you can please her. But you can still do something and make sure that you guys are still together.
You can also seek counseling.
Right.
So, like you said, that you can't find solution to everything. What about if somebody can counsel you in the way to handle that problem or manage the problem? The problem is not taken away, but how can you manage? How do you work around it,
Work
like you
around
were
it.
saying, so that you can live together as couples and still enjoy each other's company?
Seek for help. That is another point. And what else is do? So we're going to, unless you have any other thing concerning, so we're going to the answer now. Can marriage end because of a health issue, or for that matter, for any other issue? I mean, we just chose health because this channel is life and health, but it could be financial issue. It could be, any other issue. So, can a marriage or should a marriage end because of a health issue? Right. So, our bottom line answer, that is my bottom line. And again, I'm not saying that's the absolute right answer. I have an opinion. My own opinion is that a marriage shouldn't end because of a health issue. So I said no. Do you agree?
I do say no too.
Okay, and then we're gonna give our explanation and then we'll bring the stream to and then we've got 6 minutes to go. So you wanna go first
I'll
or
go first.
you want me to think through this? All right. So for me, I'm coming. I think we both are, but we're going from. Let me project this scripture. I mean, it should make sense to a lot of us. If you read in Matthew, what is it?
Mark.
No, it's also in Mark 10:1. But see if I can move my thing away so I can read it. Okay, so it says, when Jesus had finished. I know there are other people who are not Christians on the channel, Day Spring Life and Help. We just use scripture as a basis for explaining things. If you also, you know, believe in something else that, apart from what we believe, you can still have a similar scripture in your religion to back what we are saying. So it says that when Jesus had finished saying these things, he left Galilee and went into the region of Judea to the other side of Jordan. Large crowds followed uh, him, and he healed them there. Some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason? That was a deep question. And then he answered, haven't you read, he replied, that at the beginning, the Creator made them male and female and said, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So, my first point is, if you are one flesh, then how are you going to live? You're going to cut your flesh into two, kind of like in Solomon's judgment. If you really one and something is happening to your partner, then obviously it's happening to you. It's not just the partner, it's
Mm.
happening to you. So if you see yourself like, then leaving your husband or leaving your wife becomes a little big of a problem. So the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but
That's
one.
one.
That is the verse. They are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. Let no man separate.
Not separate.
So, and they asked him again, why did Moses? So, basically, and not to beleaguer at this point for a long time, my my thing is that if you had said the vows, you got to respect the vows. If your husband or your wife got a stroke and now they cannot move around, you cannot just leave them because they are sick. If they got impotent, when you knew they were potent initially, you cannot just leave because they were not potent throughout your marriage. You got to help him either solve the problem or find a way of dealing the problem with him. But you cannot just leave just because of that. What if something else got wrong with you? Would you expect him
To do the
also to
same.
leave you? Is that your mentality? So my I'm coming from the 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 principle. If you said yes, you got to keep it yes all the way. If you said, "Oh, I'll be with you until things don't work out," then obviously you can leave when things don't work out. But if you said generally, hey, I'm going to be here through thick and thin, I'm going to be here when we are poor, I'm going to be here when we are rich, I'm going to be here when we have kids, I'm going to be here when we don't have kids, I'm going to be here when you get a degree, I'm going to be here if you don't have a degree. In fact, I'm going to be here if you lose your job. Some couples are even divorcing because their husband can no longer get the money they used to. Because when they came in the marriage, all their eyes were on the money. And now that there's no money, there's no need to be there. It wasn't for love. So if you go in for love, then obviously you will keep your vows because love shares in the weakness, love shares in the strength, love shares in the joy, love shares in the sorrows. So that is
In
what I would
life.
say. It says that, right?
In life.
Wait,
Like
pardon.
your face is showing, or the scripture is showing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're still there. So, um, yeah, I'll leave it to you to say your reasoning for saying that you don't think people should leave.
Okay, I would say that you don't have to leave because of health issues. The reason being that you have come together as marriage couples and you are ready to face the world together.
Hmm.
So you have to be united and handle whatever problems come your way. I'm sure that the vows that you said, you meant it, you know. So it's not like if things doesn't work out, all of a sudden you are reconsidering. That is not a true love.
Mm.
So so you have to work it out. And if there is a will, there is a way. So find a way, and the two of you join force and find solution. And if there is no solution, try and find ways to manage that problem and stay together because you loved each other in the first place. That's why you got together.
Mm.
So you have to stay together.
All right, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. That's a good place to end the stream. And we're going to go to Facebook and other sources to see the comments and respond. And if you're going to watch after the replay, we also want you to share and also comment. These are very important issues that happen in day-to-day life. Some of us, we are saying it, we haven't faced any problem, but when in the future we face problems, are we going to be able to? So when you are given an answer, be true to yourself, so that um, God willing, you won't face any issues, but at least you have that conviction in your mind that this is what I believe and that's what I stand for. So we really appreciate you joining us. Share the stream if you watch later on, and continue to comment. We will review the comments, and we see some thumbs up and some likes, and we want to see more. And then
You have a
um,
comment.
we have a comment. Yes, that's our own channel. It's a wonderful comment. All right, so yeah, so definitely share and click the like button. And if you know any couple that are going through any issues, yeah, send a video to them. Maybe you would help them because you sent this to them. So we are really pleased you came. Next week, God willing, we're going to hit another topic. So the month of September is done. We're going to go into a different general topic and break it down every week. So make time with us, and we'll see you as 5 p.m. and we will have another conversation going. So before we leave, we say, beloved, we wish
Wish
above
above
all
all
things
things
that you
that you
prosper
prosper
and be in
and
health,
be health,
even as your
even as
soul
your soul
prospers.
prospers.
God bless you and thanks for
Thank you
watching.
for watching.